Our next speaker tonight, our final speaker, is Carol Fox. Carol is a solicitor specialising in discrimination law. She runs her own company and is dedicated to representing employees and workers. Previously, Carol has worked as a social worker, trade union official, and has also worked with the Equal Opportunities Commission. Having been a member of the Labour Party for 30 years and standing in the Scottish Parliament on 3 separate occasions, Carol resigned, having been profoundly disappointed by the actions of Labour councils in relation to equal pay, something incidentally that a lot of councils, including this council, had to be dragged to put right. However, she's now an active member in Women for Independence, and I know she's doing everything she can to achieve a yes vote in September. Carol.
I'll try without the microphone, but anyone at the back having a problem, just put your hand up. Well, I don't know how to follow the last speaker, but I'll try my best. I particularly want to address my remarks to the women in the audience, and that's not to show any disrespect to the men who've given up their evening to come out tonight. But all the polls are showing that it's us women that hold the decision in this referendum in our hands. And that's why, in particular, I've chosen to put the time and energy that I've got in the referendum campaign to Women for Independence. On the 18th of September, I'll be voting yes, not only to protect the rights of women, but to advance the rights of women. As a lifelong feminist, I want to tell you why I think and I believe that an independent Scotland will be a fairer country and will deliver equality for women. I'm not a nationalist. I'm not a member of the SNP. For me, this referendum is not about Alex Salmond. For me, it's not even about identity and about being Scottish. I come from Motherwell, that's another story. No, it's not about identity and it's not about Scotland. It's about, for me, simply equality and democracy. And I think what I have enjoyed in the campaign so far is breaking free from the straitjacket of party politics and be able to think independently and listen to a range of speakers and make up your own mind. As has been said, I was a member of the Labour Party for 30 years and I was a candidate in the 1999, 2003 and 2007 elections. Following a great deal of heartache and thought, I finally resigned my membership after 30 years, and I frankly cannot put into words the profound disappointment I feel about the Labour Party in Scotland. As an individual member of the Labour Party, I wasn't consulted about being part of Better Together, the strategy of working with the Tories to ensure that Scotland remained within the UK. Having spent my entire adult life and putting a lot of 30 years into politics, fighting against Tory policies, I was profoundly uncomfortable and disillusioned with the negativity of the no camp and frankly the lack of imagination for the future of Scotland. I wanted the intellectual and political freedom to make up my own mind, and as a member of the Labour Party, I was not allowed that opportunity, and that's why I resigned from the Labour Party. But I hesitated for some time because there didn't appear to be a space for those of us who did not wish to identify ourselves as nationalists. How did you become involved in this campaign? I contacted Margaret MacDonald last year. I've known her over the years. And Margaret MacDonald was not a well woman, God rest her soul, but she took time out of her busy diary. She took me to lunch and she talked through the doubts I had about how do I find my place, that I want to vote yes, and the reasons that I want to vote yes. And Margaret explained to me that there were lots of different journeys to yes, as we've heard tonight, and that we should all value the different contributions that we want to bring to building a better Scotland. I know that there are some women, and the polls are saying that some women have yet to finally decide how they want to vote, and they don't feel involved in the campaign. Some women, particularly, are disillusioned by politics and politicians, and no wonder. I've had occasion actually to make a formal complaint to the BBC because I kept hearing all these programmes and radio programmes that had all male voices for an entire hour. So I made a formal complaint to the BBC, and now they're phoning me up and asking me to come on things at 11:15 at night. And I can't say no, so there you are. I think it makes sense to take your time to weigh things up and consider all the information for yourself. And there is loads of information. People say they don't know the facts. There's an overwhelming amount of information out there now on the internet, on the BBC website. They have set up this whole library, all the policy documents are there. There's loads of books being written. I was in Waterstones and I was milling around and there was a table set out for the books that had been written on the referendum. And there was Ian McWhirter and Jerry Hassan and various other books. And I was looking, and I've read quite a lot because not everybody can come to meetings, so you get the opportunity to read books. So I'm looking at this table and I was like, where's Blossom? By Leslie Riddle. Where's the woman's book gone? So I said, excuse me, could you get me the manager for a minute? So the guy goes off, gets the manager. I said, excuse me, I'm in Women for Independence. I'm involved in this referendum campaign. Why is Leslie Riddle's book not there? You have that edge. I like to use that evidence. However, he took the wind out of my sails and says, I'm sorry, we keep having to restock because it keeps selling out. Before I left the shop, I made sure there was another great big stag there. We can make this decision for ourselves, and talking to the women here, you can make this decision for yourself without becoming an economics professor, without becoming a cabinet minister. You can make this decision, weighing up for yourself what's in the best interest of your family. As mothers, daughters, sisters, aunties, grannies and great-grannies, we want a better future, we want a different future for our children and our families, and that's why this is particularly important for women, and that women engage in this debate, and that the women who can't make it out here tonight for all sorts of childcare reasons, whatever, you go and you talk to other women. Women for Independence are having events on Saturday mornings. We're down at Portobello Beach. Somebody arrived with a bubble machine, we had balloons, we're doing all sorts of alternative stuff to attract the attention of the children. Once the children come over, we talk to the mums, and you just do it in a different sort of creative way. I want an independent Scotland to deliver greater equality. I don't want empty promises anymore. I don't want warm words or half-hearted token gestures. My first ever vote, giving away my age here, was in the 1st of March 1979, in the very first referendum. I was 18. And it was the first vote I cast, and I was gutted. And then in the October that same year, Margaret Thatcher was elected, and we lived through 18 years of Tory government. For me, this is personal. I do not want history to be repeated. And all I can do for my daughter, and my elderly parents, and the community that I live in, is to do my bit between now and September. But if I've got time, indulge me for a second, I just want to touch a little bit on the equality issue. In my professional life the last 30 years, I've tried to make a contribution to build a better society, fighting for the rights of women in particular. As a social worker, trade union official and now an equality lawyer, I've taken on vested interests and complacency. I try to challenge where I can the kind of resigned complacency of the naysayers amongst us. Those folk whose natural instinct is to rain on everybody's parade, bit like the old video that we saw at the beginning. There's people in the establishments that are designed and regulations to keep ordinary people and mostly ordinary women in their place. When I set out to become a lawyer as a single parent at 39 years of age, I wasn't exactly bathed in the warm embrace of the Scottish legal profession. I was seen as a genie come lately, unwilling to follow the rules. And I says, absolutely unwilling to follow your rules. So I'm immensely proud 14 years later that I've established a progressive and ethical law firm which is specialising in employment and equality rights. And I've spent the last 6 years of my life fighting for the rights of low-paid workers in Scottish councils, typically home carers, cleaners, catering staff within our councils. I really have no interest in following the rules and propping up establishments which are more concerned about their own survival than doing the right thing by the people that they employ or that they represent. Sadly, over 100 of the women that I represent have died waiting on their equal pay settlements. And I find that a disgrace. And it's the absolute injustice of that and the anger of that that gets me up out my bed every day, getting on the concealer, the bit of lipstick, out the front door to do it all again. And I will not rest until justice is delivered for these women. Just this week, we are trying to get a response from North Lanarkshire Council. We cannot get them to come and engage in discussions with us, a Labour Council. I was staggered and tweeted very early yesterday morning when I heard the radio that Margaret Curran was in Glasgow at an event where she was giving a speech about how well the Labour Party had done about introducing the Equal Pay Act 40 odd years ago, and I'm getting out of my bed to go and fight equal pay cases against a Labour council. Those women that have died have not been better together in the present situation at all. How, I ask you, is it better together for thousands of women with equal pay cases to be ignored by Labour councils? I am so profoundly disappointed in the actions of the Labour Party and Labour councils in the West of Scotland. I think the present system has failed, and Independent Scotland offers us the chance to challenge inequality and to challenge the inertia within the UK political establishment. We just need good laws. We need political will to enforce the equality. I don't want to take any lectures for any Labour MPs or MSPs who've lacked the courage of their convictions to take hold of this issue. They failed to address inequality on a massive scale within their own backyard. I want to live in a Scotland which is much, much better than this. I want better politicians with the courage of their convictions, prepared to deliver real change and real equality, and speaking as a 3 times Labour Party candidate. I want politicians prepared to chuck away the pager and not be on message. I want somebody who's got the genuine passion of their commitment and the authority and the integrity to actually deliver change. Being on message has only delivered us robotic politicians that none of us trust. With all the powers in Scotland, the interests of women would no longer fall between the 2 stools, between the Scottish Parliament and between Westminster. And in terms of the Equal Pay Act, we cannot wait another 40 years. And there is a commitment in an independent Scotland to make sure the Equal Pay Act is enforced. All the powers would come to Scotland, including employment and equality law. And since we're filming, and I don't know who's watching, I would love to volunteer myself to be the Cabinet Minister for Equality and Employment Law. We have to make sure that we represent the interests of ordinary men and women and to get politicians who care much less about their careers. We must have a written constitution which enshrines legal rights and protects access to justice. I want to vote yes to build a better Scotland, a country where equality can become a reality, not only for the women I represent as a lawyer, but for my 21-year-old daughter and for my elderly parents. I've got some other remarks, I'm conscious of time, and I think the better bits of these meetings is the interaction with questions, so I'm going to skip forward. I just want to finish with a small anecdote about that feeling that you can't do something. The women I represent are not used to going into a tribunal in a court situation. They're not used to being put under oath and cross-examined and asked questions. But we have to have test claimants, we have to have somebody represent each type of job. So I'll have a job in my hands to phone them up or go to their house and I'll say, we need you to come and be a test claimant. You've worked along with us, you do it, we need you to be the test claimant. Comes, oh no Caroline, I can't do that, I can't come to tribunal. I say, yes you can, and I'll be there and I'll support you. And you persuade them over a wee while and say, this is the way you'll win your case, but not just your case, you will help lots of other women. And that's how these cases have progressed. One of the women who was particularly nervous about going into the tribunal, and I said, you are the one that knows your job the best. You can answer every question there is in the world about your job. So this smart young lawyer on the other side, the kind of technique for cross-examining is you ask a lot of questions which are obvious and the person agrees with. Then you slip in the question you don't want them to agree with, but they get confused and they say yes anyway. So this lawyer on the other side was taking this woman who was a carer through this. You couldn't work any harder now, could you? No, son. You really are do 100% of your job, you're really patient and work hard. Yes, son. She's agreeing with all this. And then he comes to his question. So you really, do you not think there's any way that your council could design a bonus for your job? And quick as a flash, she turned and she said, aye, well, I should think so, son. They put a man on the moon after all, did they know? Well, I wanted to leap over the table and just kiss this woman because everybody else's face in the room went bright red. The case collapsed. We won that case, and that woman didn't think she had the power in her to do it, and she did it for hundreds and thousands. So all I would say to everybody, and particularly the women, go home and speak to all your family. Make sure everybody's registered to vote. Make sure they know it's how crucial. And let us get power on the 18th of September to make Scotland a much better place. Yeah.